All right, so for the first assignment in Web Design DOS, basically it's just going to be a review. So what you're going to do is you're just literally going to follow me step by step, and you're just going to submit pretty much. It should look exactly like mine looks, and that's what it should be. So first thing you're going to need to do is go to you need to make a new folder. So we're just going to right click, new folder. And we are going to call it about cone. Okay, what to do? That's going to be our master folder, and when we're done, we'll zip it and submit it. So we're going to open that up, and then inside of there, which one over here, we are going to need an images folder, new folder, images, which is where all our images go. And for this, we're doing a one-page flyer, so I'm not going to make the CSS folder and the JS folder and all that. It's just going to be this, and it's just going to be an HTML file, and that's it. We're going to put the code right in all in one sheet. That way, it's easier to read and to work with. Okay, because the idea is that this would all go in one thing here. So that's good enough for that. And then what we want to do is just open up Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code, and that went over here again, and we can start crack-a-lacking. So, close out all this business, and we don't need you. And we're just going to do File, New File, and we'll start off by just doing the basic stuff. And I'm just going to try to explain. I'm going to do this really quick because it shouldn't take you that long, and you can just pause it if you need to stop and look at it, because really it's review more than anything else. So, first thing, it's going to be doc type HTML, and if you remember, that's the thing that says that this is an HTML file. The next thing is going to be HTML, so it knows where it starts, and then we'll close HTML, and then inside the HTML, we should have a head, right? And we need to close our head, and then we should have a body, and we need to close our body. Okay. And then everything's basically going to go inside of that. Now you notice that it's not being highlighted. That's because basically it doesn't know it's an HTML file. So let's save this, and then we'll be good to go. So we're going to do Control-Shift-S, or File Save As, and we're going to save it right to that folder that we just made. So About Cone, there we go. And we're just going to call this. Remember, the home page is always indexed, so it's going to be index.html. And it should boom, there we go. So that's good now. To start off with, let's go ahead and in the head, we're just going to go ahead and add our title. Oops. There we go, automatically close it for us. And we'll just say about cone. That's great. All right, and then we're also going to need our style. So I'm just going to go ahead and do style. And we'll put all of our styles in there. And then inside the body, we will start working from there. Okay, so I'm gonna put my content in, and then we'll format it afterwards. Okay, so like that and tab. So first thing, usually the title is usually in H1, right? So we're gonna head and do H1. Boom, and we're just gonna say about cone. Boom, looks super great. And then inside of that, we're going to put an image. But what I'm going to do is I want to have an image, but I want to have an image with like a little snippet underneath it. So the best way to do that is the HTML5 figure. So we're going to do a figure in a fig caption instead of just the IMG. We'll put the IMG inside of it. So we're going to do figure, like so. And then we're going to do our image is going to go in here, IMG. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and save this, Control-S, and I need my pictures. Okay, so I have this images folder, but I have no images in it. What I'm going to do is I will post this onto Blackboard and also onto my website. And you can just grab it from there and just slap those pictures in there, and you can use those. I'm just going to go ahead and grab the pictures that I have, which apparently is just the one here. So Control-C, Control-V. Honestly, if you use a different picture, I don't care. I'll put this one on there, but it's just this one, so it's not that big of a deal. All right. So we're going to go ahead and source that picture. So it's IMG, that's for image. And then we need to do SRC, for source, and then it's going to be images, right? And then it's inside that folder, and the name of it was cone image, and it was a PNG. And then width, I'm going to go ahead and make it 233, and the height, I'm going to go ahead and make that 300. Okay, and that's an open element because it's not wrapping something. And then underneath that, I want to have a little thing that says what it is, and that's going to be fig caption. And okay, and we're going to say, look upon my majesty, because I'm pretty awesome. Good. All right, so that'll be kind of like the first section. I'm picturing that kind of being like the title part. So let's go ahead and make that inside like a div. Okay, so I'm going to put that inside of a div. So I'm just going to go here and go div, and like that. And then to put the bottom div, I'm just going to click across it and middle mouse button, click and drag and let go. Or you can, Control C, Control V. I'm just going to make sure this is tabbed in. And now these need to be tabbed in from that one. Okay, so this div here will be like my first little chunk. And then I'm going to have, so a lot of times you'll notice when you have websites, right, they always have like a heading, right? They have a header, and then they have the content, okay? So this will be my header, and then the area underneath is going to be my content. So I'm going to do another div, and we'll put like the meat of my site inside of here, okay? So we'll do first like a subheading, so an H2, and we'll just say I am cone, the name of it, and then we're just going to put a paragraph in there. Oops. Which for some reason got messed up. There we go. I don't know why I hit some buttons. So we're just going to say okay. We are just going to go ahead and say yep. That is all you need to know. I am a sentient primitive object used to direct the public away. In this case, I am used as an example. Now, yours might go off the screen, so if I make this a little bit bigger, we should do that anyways. Control plus and minus, if you remember, will make it bigger and smaller. You see it's going off screen, which is sort of annoying. So just remember, you can go to View, Toggle Word Wrap, and that will make it so it fits in the width of your screen. So that might be particularly handy if you have this video on one side and then you have your thing on the other side. That way it's a little bit easier to work with. Okay. So after this, we're going to do another subheading. So this will be H2 again, like my next paragraph. And we'll say, I am so much more. A little exclamation point there because I'm excited about it for some reason. And boop. All right. And so this is actually not true. I was just trying to draw you into the next paragraph, and it worked. Sucker. Gloriousness. Okay. So we have that. That works pretty okay. So that's my content. I'm just going to go ahead and save it, and we'll just double check it. Make sure we're all on the goodness here. So let's go here, and you should have the index. Just double click on it and make sure it looks bad. Just going to bring this guy over here, and okay, come on. Yeah, that looks like a thing that's there. So if you look, it's not that super great. It's it needs some formatting, but I got the content in there. Obviously, it could be much more grandiose, but it should work for what we're trying to do here. So I'm just going to minimize that, and that way I can just refresh it. We need to also minimize this, and let's go ahead and basically do the CSS stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I made these divs, but I don't have any classes to currently control them. So I'm going to add some classes. So I'm just going to do class equals, and we'll say header, so that I know that that's the header. And then we'll do one for this one, and we'll do a class equals, and we'll just call this body content. All right. And then I also want to break these up into two chunks, these two paragraphs, so like they're two pieces. That way they're easier to control. Right now, they're just loosely, it's just a piece, a piece, a piece, a piece. I'd rather these two kind of were associated and these two were associated. So the easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and put those inside of a div. And since they're both just like sections, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So we're just going to go div class equals, and we'll just say paragraph. Works for me. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab this, Control X to cut. And after this, Control V. And make sure that's tabbed in. Tab. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one. Control C. Control V. And then, oh, that automatically did that. That's weird. Okay. And then at the end of this, just do Control V. And again, tab that guy in. Okay. And then we're just going to tab this and this in so I can tell that these are inside of this div. Okay. So now this is all nicely kind of chunked in their pieces, right? So that works pretty good. I've got it pretty well. Let me click off. There it goes. So now they're all in the little pieces. So let's go ahead and basically add the style that's going to make it look a little bit better. So first thing, we'll always work broad to specific. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the body just to kind of set my default settings in a way. So body, then braces, put the bits in there. And let's go ahead and we will do a background color. And I am going to do RGB, and then there we go. And then I can put in what I want. So I'm just going to kind of click, and we'll do like kind of a nice grayish sky blue. I think I want a little bit less saturated. That looks terrible. Let's go with that. And then I don't know why it gave me these other bits here. Get out of here. There we go. And then semicolon. RGB. Oh, it put RGB. What is this thing doing? Okay. Get rid of this. Should look like that. Alright. Crap. There's another one here. Hang on a second. Get out of there. Okay. Should look like this. It should be RGB and then three numbers. The three numbers in the parentheses. I don't know what this formatting is doing. It's being done. Okay. So, color, which is going to be the text color if you remember, and we'll just do black. That's fine. And the font family, we'll just set this up. Now, we're not going to do anything super fancy to start with. Let's do Courier New. Let's see the sans. Let's do Arial. I always like Arial. I know it's kind of generic, but it's and I'm just going to do this to make this a little bit easier. Okay, good. So that'll be our kind of default, the background default color, the color of the text, and what the text is. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll format kind of the elements, and we'll just kind of go down the line here. So we'll do the H1s. All right, and we're just going to go ahead and do font size, and I just want to make it bigger. Now, I'm going to do this in a responsive way. So I could set pixels. So remember, we could do like 72 px. That would work. But it's not a good way of working because it doesn't. Let's say my screen is super high resolution. It's going to look actually really small. It's not controlled by the defaults. What you're better off doing is using EMs, which is the default size of the letter M in the browser. So basically, if the default M of whatever's being set up is, let's say it's really high resolution, so default for like a P is 36. If I put like, 4 EMs, it's going to be 4 times that size, right? Or if I do 2, then I'll end up with the 72 that I wanted. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 4 EM because I want it rather large. Okay. And then we're going to do text align. I want to go ahead and do to the right. Okay. And then I want to make sure there is no margin. I usually like to do that actually at the top. Let's take that out. So I like to set up, not like that. I gotta go in the front of that. There we go. I usually like to set up the margin, and we'll just do, this one doesn't matter what you do, but we're gonna do 0px, even though I gave all that business about the EMs, because 0 is 0. And padding, we're also gonna do 0px, px. I'd like to just set that up like that. Okay, so we're gonna do text align right, and then we're gonna do the position. position, and we're not going to do relative, we're going to do absolute position, and we're going to say from the top. So absolute just means it doesn't matter anything about the web page, no matter what, it's always going to be from this top part. So now we're going to say top, and we're going to offset it by 125 pixels, and we're going to do the left, we're going to do 0 pixels. So it's going to be all the way to the left and 125 pixels from the top. Okay? Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and transform this. Transform. Transform. And then we're going to transform it. We're going to do a rotate because we're just going to do it fun. And we're going to rotate it -9 degrees. So I'm going to turn it basically sideways. And DEG for degrees. And boom. Okay? Just so you get an idea of what that looks like, let's go ahead, not this one, here, and let's refresh this. And you can see it's going to write it that way, which is just kind of neat looking. Obviously, the picture is not where I need it, but that's a good starting point. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and go here, and let's do the next thing. Okay, so now let's do our picture that's there. Let's bring this guy back. Good. All right, and now it's going to be the figure was the other thing that's in there. So for the figure, I'm just going to say position. We're going to set it to relative, and then I'm going to go. Oops, I went past you. Relative, and then we're going to say from the left, 250 pixels. Now you might be like, why did I have to put relative? Because relative is the default. It's always relative. It's relative to its current position, whatever it is. But you are not allowed to offset, like use the left, right, top, unless you specifically already mentioned the position. So that's why we had to do it like that. All right, and now what we're going to do is we are going to format our chunks here. Okay, so those are basically the kind of, you know, the tags and what I want to do to those. And now I'm going to do ones for our classes. So let's go ahead and do dot content. Okay, and in the content, I'm just going to go ahead and change the background color. And because this is annoying, I'm going to copy and paste this up here. Control C, Control V. What's nice though is that once you write that in there, if you hover over it, you can change it. So I went with like a blue. So let's do, I want to do kind of an orange that's similar to what I already, like what's on my cone do. So we'll do something like that. It's good to limit your colors as few as possible. It makes it easier to read. Okay, so display. And we're just going to do inline block. Okay. Good. And then let's see, display inline block, and then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add a little bit of margin to this. So we'll just do 10 px, and we'll do a little bit of padding as well, and we'll do also 10 px. So if you remember, what margin does is it's the space between the element and whatever is around it. So it's going to offset it, so there's going to be a gap between it and the areas around it, because we did margin, not margin left, not margin top. It's all around, and we're going to do 10 pixels offset. Padding is the space from the outside of the object to the content within it. So in that case, it would be like the text, okay? But it could be an image or whatever you have in there. Okay. And then we're going to do dot paragraph. Paragraph. That's what we called it, right? Paragraph? Yeah, paragraph. Boom. And we are going to change the width to a percentage, 25%. So, and we're going to do display inline hyphen block. Okay, let's save that and see what we got. And look creme fresh, and boom, there you go. Okay, so sort of a rough fixed width, if you will. It's not really fixed width because I did it by percentages, but it gives you an idea. So let's see, that looks pretty okay. I think it might need to have some stuff changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to say this is 960, because if you look right now, what we have technically is a liquid, okay? So the reason we did inline block is that if you remember inline block, what it'll do is it'll set things next to each other. It'll set things next to each other. So that's why I did the paragraphs like that, so that way they would be stacked one on top of the other. But I did width 25%, so that would work good if I had 4 of them. Actually, it wouldn't work if I had 4 of them because there's padding on the content. But what we're going to do instead is I'm going to picture it being 960 pixels. So we're going to fix that here. So in the body, we're going to go ahead and do width. Crap. I'm going to go in here. We're going to go ahead and do width because we're looking to do a fixed width to start with. So we're going to say 960px. All right. Good. And that will make it so that the page is absolutely a certain size. So, for instance, come on. If I refresh this now, if I save it and refresh it, what you're going to see is, hang on a second, no matter what, see how it's not moving anymore? So that means the max size is 960, which is right here. And that's why this is going only to this spot. Because what I'm looking to do is basically a fixed width page. All right? So now that I got that done, what I'm going to do is over here, instead of using these percentages for that, if I know it's 960, I do have to count for these gaps here. I can give it like some sort of size. So let's say instead of doing this, let's do, what's 960? Was it 230 then? But we don't want to do 230. Let's do 200. Okay? Oh, wait, it won't be 230 anyway, because that's not half. It would be, what? Let's do 400, see what that gives us. Okay. So I'll make sure you save it, Control R, and that's a little bit better. So you can see there's a decent amount, there's a little bit of a gap between each side. That's pretty close to what I wanted. The only other thing I could do too is on the content, I could add more margin to the top so that this isn't getting run into. One of the problems I'm having though is because I did this as an EM, which I don't want to do responsive right now, I don't have as much control over the size. So instead of doing for EM, let's try 72px and see what that gives us. And Control R, and that actually works. I'm going to put this on the side, I'm going to put this on the other side, and that way I can just save it and refresh it. Let's try 48, Control S, and then you can hit F5 is refresh. Okay, so it could be a little bit bigger than that. Let's try, I don't think we get away with 60, it's going to be too much. 48, let's try 54. Control S, and then you can also do Control R, it's also refresh. Okay, that looks good. All right, so now I have kind of a one-page flyer. You get the idea. You can see that basically I did a couple of neat little things. It is a fixed width. Hopefully this kind of reminds you of what we've been doing. It's all on one, well, it isn't one page because we do have the image. But hopefully this gives you an idea, a rough idea of, what we have done. Now, so now that that's done, we're going to say that's good. So this is what you want to do. Yours should look just like this. What you want to do now is you're just going to take this and basically submit it. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. So just make sure you save that. I'm going to close out of this, and then now we have this about cone. So we need to do the same thing that we have done like a million times before. You need to go to Blackboard. So you can type in cecil.blackboard. You're going to go to your course. You're going to log in. You're going to go to your courses. You're going to go to Web Design 2. Go to the class. And then you can either go to week 1 and get there, or you can just click directly onto assignments. Go to assignments. One-page flyer. Click on that. Review. Make sure that you just did everything that's in there, but honestly, as long as you're on the video, everything's on there. And then you're just going to submit it. But you remember, it won't let you submit folders. It will only let you submit files. So what you have to do is on that folder that has everything in it, has the image and the thing in there, you're just going to right-click on it, and you're just going to send to compressed zip folder. Now, when you're done, if it's on a Mac, I think you should right-click. I think it's compressed is what it says. You're going to take that, and that's what you are going to submit. So you can drop and drag it onto there, if that works best for you. It's not there anymore, but you can drop and drag it, or you can browse your computer, and then you would just grab that file. Where are you? About cone. You hit open, and then it will do that. And then if you need to write any kind of comments in there, go ahead and write a comment in there. That's not a big deal. Yada, yada, yada. And that would be it. Then you just submit. Now, the other thing that you need to do are basically twofold. Now, if there's only one of you, which currently there is, if there's less than three, so 2 or less, we're not going to really be able to do discussion boards because there's not enough people to really discuss. But what you would have to also do is fill out the introduction, and then I would also, I'm not going to bother now, but I would create a forum for a critique. And then basically what I'd want you to do is upload your site onto there as well so that people could look at it and then give you critique about it. But we're not going to do that right now. So yeah, that's basically it. So I would just highly suggest going on the website and maybe just kind of look through stuff again. You want to look at the old Web Design 1, but the idea is to try and get a review. So I just want you to, just try and get your feet wet, this week, and then next week we're going to make our page like responsive. So we're going to take what we have there and basically add another level onto it. If you have any questions or anything, just let me know. Otherwise, good luck.